Okay, well, hello everyone, and today we're doing part two of some financial management questions or common financial blips that can happen in operations. And joining me again today is Mr. John Spencer, president of John Spencer and Associates Inc., and also my dad. And we're talking today, on our last thing, we talked about some of the mistakes that people make financially in terms of their operation. And today, let's talk about some of the good things that producers have done in your experience from a financial management standpoint in their operations, whatever that operation might be.
Well, there are some common traits for really successful businesses, and I will send to you to post on your website, Rob, a document prepared by the Canadian Farm Business Management Council through the Agrivision Corporation a number of years ago called Redefining Agriculture. And what that was 43 farm management teams were interviewed across the country looking for these common characteristics. And I believe there's 19 of them that are documented. Everything from communication strategies to records management to all that kind of thing. So it's good enough as a document that I put it in every farm business management plan that I write, every strategic plan that I do for a farm management team or agribusiness. I put it in there as an appendix because every business management team, and I don't care, even if you're one of those 43 teams, you read the whole report and get whatever the other people are doing. So the very first thing that I have as a smart thing to do is steal ideas from people who are successful. I'm not saying that you go bust into their offices and go through their file cabinets, but I am saying watch what they do and copy it. I'll give you an example. In Northwest Saskatchewan, it can get dry, and one of my former employees farmed right beside the Scott Research Station. Now, it's broad acre production, not something that horticulturists would do, but that guy watched what Scott Research Farm did, and as soon as they started to seed, he was on the ground. And in one particular year, that area got less than 4 inches of rain, and he had an average crop. While all of his neighbors were harvesting, 5 to 6 bushels to the acre of canola, he's taken off close to 30. Now, this is some years ago. His average yield would be higher now. But the point is this. Everybody asked him, what did you do? And he told them exactly what he did. He watched the research farm, and when they started to sow their plots, he was on the land. And every rain that came, he hit. And what I learned from that was not that you're going to get rain if you watch government-paid researchers. What I did learn was watch people who you decide are successful and find those ideas. And the other thing is that goes back to this point of mentoring and the question you asked in last interview. Most people will give you information that you ask for if you're not asking for something that is proprietary. So if they've come up with some kind of new idea to do something that revolutionary, that they will not likely share. But as far as if you called them and said, I'm very concerned about X, Y, or Z, whether it's people management problems or it is records management interpretation, they will tell you. They may not open the book, but they will still tell you, and that gives you a place to do your own research and find more information. A second smart thing that I've seen people do is that they regularly talk to their advisors, and they're not waiting for the crunch time where it's 3 hours till the end of December 31st, and you got to go either spend a bunch of money or not spend a bunch of money. They're talking to their accountant on a quarterly basis. They're talking to their suppliers well in advance of shipping dates, or they're pushing on their buyers to start locking down prices where they can. Things like that, way in advance of deadlines. One of the people that advises me is my accountant. And so we're talking months before my year ends so that I know if I've got to go out and buy some computers or whatever it might happen to be to make my business run smoothly. Waiting until the end of November gives you issues. One of my producers told me that he saved 25% on his fertilizer for 2021 by going in and buying it with cash by the end of October. That's a month ahead of when he normally would have bought. But because he had cash, because he was early, he made that kind of a saving. So talking to your advisors and seeing what you can do, talking to the people that you depend on for profitability in your operation, that's really important. The last one is really, it goes through every aspect of your business. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about your workers out harvesting pumpkins, or whether you're talking about dealing with your lender or your co-owners if you're in a corporate structure or a partnership of some kind, and that is an effective communication plan. You got to know how to talk to people. You got to do that talking. What I recommend to my clients as long as you got more than one operator, and that includes a wife. If you got a wife or a husband, and that makes two. So you still need to follow this plan, and that is that every week you talk about the operation and where you're at. What is your work plan for the next week? Every month you take a look at how did it go, but also what's the big stuff coming up next month, and the same with the quarter, and the same with annually. And if you do that kind of effective communication, nobody's surprised by anything that's going on. You're watching the trends in your money. You're watching the trends in your weather. You're watching the trends in how your product's being uptaken. And so when it gets to your annual meeting, that's a party. Let's break out the root beer and the pizzas and celebrate you had a great year. All the really hard work is done during your weekly, monthly, and quarterly meetings. That's why the annual meeting is literally, it's a shareholders dinner. And, if a person communicates well, if you're talking regularly to the people who matter to the running of your business, and if you are finding good ideas from people who are doing it better than you are, and I don't care who you are in horticulture anywhere or agriculture anywhere, there's always somebody who does something better than you do. And your job as an effective manager is to find out what that is and steal it.
Yeah. Adapt it is the
Is
nice
that the
term.
proper word?
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, but
I was putting on my black mask and going over a barbed wire somewhere.
I completely agree, though. I mean, you can learn something from anyone, from anywhere, and if you've learned something from, that's where I often recommend, attending conferences or going visit farms. I mean, maybe not this year, but in other years. I mean, you can always learn from someone, and you can always adapt it. And I mean, taking it and just copying it straight might not always work, but you can certainly take it and adapt a lot of it to what the parts that work for you. Use it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why
Absolutely.
reinvent the wheel if somebody has already made that thing round? Roll it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. There's a one of my favorite stories about adaptative agriculture was when I was younger in my career and was still doing some ag lending. A guy came to me, he wanted to set up a market garden southwest of Saskatoon. It's a beautiful area. Rob, I know you've been to the Moon Valley. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous place. And this guy was going to set up there, and he wanted to grow 26 crops in his first year. And I said, that seems a little aggressive to me, because we're not talking about, 50 by 50 plots. We're talking about big spots. This was a total of about 13 acres or something like this. It was a lot of work for first year in, and you got to establish and do all the rest. And I found it very interesting that he did manage to make his payments the first year, and his crop plan was 6 crops in year 2. And over years, he grew back up to where he was actually producing about a dozen, but he learned. And the other thing was that he was willing to share that information with, I took people to him that were getting into the business. There's more and more interest in locavores and that kind of thing. And so he was willing to share, don't be too aggressive at the start because it just about killed me. So talk to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can learn a lot. So awesome. Well, those are some great tips. Thank you very much. And have a great day.
Thank you very much for asking me.